Alright, so every trip and its hardships always have its oases. We've arrived at ours, finally. It took quite a bit to get here.
We went from New Braunfels, Texas into Sonora, Texas, and that was camping near a motel. And from Sonora, Texas, we went to Van Horn, Texas. From Van Horn, Texas, we went to Gage, New Mexico, which is right outside of Deming. And that's when I said, okay, enough is enough. I'm really cold, because we're in a desert, and we underestimated just how cold it gets in a desert.
Yeah, that night in Gage, I thought it was going to be like Texas. It was not like Texas at all.
No.
I can take cold, but once it gets below freezing, the tent is not going to be sufficient.
Yeah, I had on 2 pairs of socks, pants, my motorcycle pants on top of that, with a hat and gloves, and I was still cold, and we were cuddled up next to each other. So I said, Travis, we have to get a hotel.
At 5 o'clock, we just packed up camp, got the hell out of there. There was some workers that had some caravans and stuff that was actually set up properly. And
we ended up riding back. We rode for about 20 minutes in 24-degree weather with the wind on you, and it wasn't fun.
We went to a truck stop that had a Starbucks, and I think the Starbucks employees just took so much pity on us that they let us actually eat inside, even though there's the pandemic going on. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that. And then we made it to Arizona. As with most trips, they come with their difficulties, and this is my latest difficulty. The mount for my jerry can has completely gone kaput on me. I've tried to jerry rig it up a bit with some of this junk and a sock. I think on the back, the vibration was making the plastic brittle from the cold, and then it just broke into pieces. I looked down, my jerry can was just hanging. So now I've done this, and we'll see if it works. Para nada. Me cago en todo que se maneja.
Working it. I'm a pony. I'm a pony. Feel the burn.
Here we are in Tombstone, Arizona. We have finally arrived to the famous location of the shootout of the OK Corral, which really, ironically, was not a shootout, but more of a disarmament, and was not at the OK Corral. But we made it to Tombstone nonetheless.
Yeah, we spent the last couple days in a tent. It was cold. We underestimated how cold it was going to be. We thought we had the gear. Turns out we don't, so we put on as many layers as we could, still caught a chill, and wound up staying in Tombstone in a motel, which I'm happy about. Now we're taking it easy and just walking while there's no tourists out. It's actually a really nice, refreshing feeling. Feels like a true ghost town being here.
Yesterday we rolled into town, quite tired. We are traveling on a budget, so we found a motel right next door to the OK Corral. And yeah, I thought I'd show you guys the kind of pad we got going on here. I call it the famed Pancho Villa room, because we got none other than El Señor Pancho Villa himself. And here's the beautiful Samantha Marie.
Hey, sweetie. I did your laundry. You're missing a sock. But this is the room we stayed in. It was definitely out of budget.
All right, so here are some common misconceptions about the alleged showdown at the OK Corral. For the first 50 years following the famed gunfight, it was called the Fremont Street Fight. It actually took place in a vacant lot that locals used as a shortcut from Fremont Street to the OK Corral. The Earps, all of them, didn't even have gun holsters on them actually, something the movie always gets wrong. Wyatt is often erroneously regarded as the central figure in the shootout, although his brother Virgil was Tombstone's town marshal and deputy U.S. Marshal that day, and that was much more than the seasoned lawman. Hollywood seldom depicts what took place in the courts following the disarmament turned gunfight, ultimately missing the nuance of history's complexities. In court, 12 men who comprised the coroner's jury refused to support the Earps and rule it was justified, or support the cowboys and rule it as a murder. They were afraid of both factions. The judge had to carry out an inquest as a result of the jury not reaching a verdict. It lasted 30 days. Wyatt's lawyer found an obscure territorial statute that said the accused could read a written prepared statement and not be subject to cross-examination. The prosecuting attorney was furious. Justice Spicer ruled that Virgil, as the lawman in charge that day, had acted within his office, and that was not enough evidence to indict the men. Later, it was actually the papers that made Wyatt Earp famous in disseminating the classic Greek drama-styled story of Wyatt's vendetta ride to avenge the death of his brother Morgan and the crippling of his brother Virgil, all retaliatory attacks for killing Billy Clanton and the McLaury brothers next to Fremont Street. That and the fact he was the only lawman unharmed in the process of trying to disarm the cowboys seemed to help.
Oh, I don't want that!
Oh yeah, and Doc Holliday was a terrible shot. That's why he got a shotgun when he was deputized that day. So there you go. Sorry to run all the luster in the mud for all you Wild West LARPers out there in southern Arizona. Till next time.
I will always be a proud Texan, proud of my state and our heritage, our history, but my God, Texas has nothing on the landscapes of Arizona.
You got the...
Yeah, my front pocket. Hi, how's it going? Sure. Awesome.
Just so you are aware, the east gate does remain closed at this time. So this is your only way in and out of the building today.
Yeah.
But this exit is open 24 hours.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Is it closed because of weather or?
No, it remains closed due to COVID-19. East goes straight into Navajo Nation. And they're actually still on a lockdown.
Yeah.
And they asked us to keep it closed.
Okay.
Okay, later on.
través de esa premisa con sonidos y texturas. Saber que hay gente ahí fuera que siente como tú.
As the worker at the guard check said, the East Gate was closed to Navajo Nation due to COVID. So we had to double back, take about an hour and a half detour heading south, then east, then back north. All under snow, sleet, and some rain. It was really something to kill the mojo. All right, I can't do an episode about Arizona without talking about this guy. He pretty much created the term to be on a warpath. Geronimo. Geronimo's story is one of great suffering. He wasn't on a warpath for nothing. Tragedy had befallen him while on a training expedition away from camp. Mexican soldiers attacked. The news reached Geronimo, and he stealthily returned under the cover of night to find his mother, wife, and 3 children all dead. This was the jumping off point. In Apache tradition, he burned their belongings and lamented their deaths alone in the wilderness when he heard a voice calling his name, Goyathle, 4 times, a sacred Apache number. Then he heard, "No gun can ever kill you. I will take the bullets from the guns of the Mexicans so that they will have nothing but powder, and I will guide your arrows." Geronimo rounded up a force of 200 men and hunted down the Mexican soldiers who killed his family. It went on like this for 10 years. He wreaked total havoc on the settlers, Mexican and American, living in Sonora and Chihuahua and the new U.S. states of New Mexico and Arizona. Geronimo's father-in-law, Cochise, could see where the future was headed. In an act that greatly disappointed his son-in-law, the revered chief called a halt to his decade-long war with the Americans and agreed to the establishment of a reservation for his people on a prized piece of Apache property. Geronimo wanted nothing of it. When Cochise died and the U.S. government broke its agreement, a new round of fighting took place. Knowing he wouldn't die in battle, Geronimo was totally fearless. His followers knew him to be touched by God, as not only a great warrior, but also a great healer. Upon being captured in 1877, he escaped U.S. mandated confinement on a reservation for 4 years. He mounted one last fight that has been remembered in history as the last of the Indian Wars against the U.S. Honestly, there really is no scratching the surface of the force of nature that he was in some fledgling YouTube channel. This quote may serve as a window into the restless warrior's soul and great exertions paid. I feel anyone breathing can relate with it. While living, I want to live well.